right, cool. Flatline MMA podcast episode number 8. I'm Dom. That's Kev. You guys know the deal. This show is brought to you by CBD Medic, natural ingredients, advanced relief, topical pain relief for active sport, back and neck, foot, muscle and joint, arthritis, and massage oil. So CBD Medic, brought to you by Flatline MMA. Gronk uses it. Why the hell are you not using it? Go buy. Link in the description. Use the code FLATLINE10 for 10% off. So start CBDing now. On today's episode, we got a couple things to talk about. We wanted to give a quick recap on the UFC Brazil card last weekend. It came to Sao Paulo. We had a couple, might not have been the most exciting card in the world. I think there's a lot of more expectations than what actually happened in there, but 3 fights we'll cover on that. We're going to talk about some midweek news. Ben Askren obviously retiring from MMA. Some people are, shocked about it. Some people weren't really surprised, so we'll get in depth with that. So let's just get right into it, bud. UFC Brazil, UFC Sao Paulo. We watched it together. Really kind of a snooze fest. I think, one of the fights we could start off with, Charles Oliveira, Jared Flash Gordon. Oliveira, who is known for his submissions, he's kind of up there in the Cerrone territory with some of the most finishes in UFC history, some of the most submissions in UFC history. So to see him get that first round knockout over Jared Gordon, a tough Jared Flash Gordon, was pretty impressive. Not going to lie, I thought that was one of the more shocking endings to a fight I've seen in a while. So what'd you think about him?
Yeah, he looked good. He caught him coming in with that right hand, dropped him right away. So, and then Gordon popped back up and hit him with that uppercut and put him back down. He didn't really need that one, but his hands look great. He really caught him there, caught him with the counter.
Yeah, no, I think flawless performance. I think for someone that is always looking to take it to the ground and they can get a KO knockout like that, that's obviously huge. Helps his confidence, and I think that puts the rest of the division on notice. One thing, I wrote this in the blog, one thing that I think took away from his win is he gets on the mic, and who does he call out? The most inactive fighter on the roster, Conor McGregor. I didn't like the move. I think he got the crowd in Brazil just so electrified. Obviously, he's the hometown guy. He's the hometown favorite, right? And then for him to go out and just call out McGregor kind of out of the blue there, hey, everyone wants to get paid. Everyone wants that red panty night. I get it. He did redeem himself. He did call out the likes of guys like, obviously, Khabib and then Paul Felder, which I think that'd be a great fight as well. But I don't know. What'd you think about him just calling out McGregor like that?
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. I mean, everybody was calling out McGregor.
Yeah.
And now that he's not fighting, it's like, I don't know. I don't really see the point. It's not like McGregor's going to come out of retirement to come fight Charles Oliveira.
No.
So, I don't know. Didn't really make any sense, but I like the Paul Felder fight. I think that would be a good one.
Yeah, real fun. Paul Felder's one of the toughest guys in the UFC roster. I think that'll be a great fight there too. So great win for Oliveira. Obviously, he's been in the UFC for a while. He's a finisher, and everyone loves to see that. And he got it done kind of in his hometown there. So that was huge to see. Moving forward to the co-main event, we had obviously the legend Mauricio Shogun Rua versus Paul Craig, kind of the rising star there. I wrote this in the blog as well. This is one of the fights that I really did think it had the likings for, a fight of the night. Listen, that first round, that was all Paul Craig. I mean, we were talking about, he was hitting him with the freaking kitchen sink. And then all of a sudden he just goes in for a shot. And then I think that's where the momentum just kind of died for him. And then I think the rest of the fight was really just Shogun just clinching up. He had some of his moments. I think he made a nice little comeback. But overall, just really boring fight. It went to the judges, obviously. They named it a split draw. You can tell how disappointed both fighters are. They both went back to did their interviews. I want it. Shogun's like, I want it. So I don't know. What do you think about that fight? Obviously, not the most exciting fight. But I thought the first round was interesting with Paul Craig, who's not normally the striker, going in there and hitting Shogun with everything he had.
Yeah, he definitely was outstriking him in that first round, and there was a lot of excitement there for a few minutes. But like you said, it did kind of fade out, and it was, kind of just they're trying to point each other out. for the most part, and kind of made for a boring second and third round. So I could see the the draw decision, but just looking at the stats per round, the whole fight was on the feet, and Paul outstruck him every single round. So I don't know. I kind of lean it in his favor, and he also did do a good amount of damage to through his face. So I don't know, but the draw makes sense. But I probably would have leaned towards Paul Craig if I had to decide.
Yeah, I mean, draws just suck in general. I mean, as a fighter, you work so hard, and then just to come out like that. Yeah, I don't know. I probably would have still stuck with the draw. I'm nothing too compelling other than that first round, to be completely honest. But I thought Shogun had his moments, like I said. But other than that, pretty disappointed. Do I think they'll run that back? I don't think it's necessary. I think people would like to see that again, but I mean, Shogun's getting up there in age. I think Paul Craig kind of needs to step away from that one. I know he just fought a legend. I know that's something he talked about kind of in the build up there. So I think just overall cool fight for both of them, but I don't know if I'd want to see the rematch again. So we'll see what both of those guys do next there. And then let's head to the main event, which I think definitely had a lot of implications for this fight. So we had Jan Blachowicz, I know he said his name wrong last time, so I think it made up for that one, versus Ronaldo Jacare Souza, who was making his light heavyweight debut. Obviously, huge fight. Jan was kind of up there. I think he's in talks for, if he wins this one, does he fight John next? Does he wait? Whatever. Super disappointed in this fight. It was just 5 rounds of Jacare just clinching, and I think no one could set anything up. Jan ended up getting the split decision win. He was calling out John afterwards, but I don't really have too many words for the fight. I was just disappointed. I was hoping for, whether it was a submission win for Jacare or a knockout from Jan, because he's just been on a little bit of a streak there. So I don't know. What are your overall thoughts of that whole fight and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was a slow fight, from first round through the fifth. Especially if Jan wants a title shot, I think he has to. It's hard to finish a guy like Jacare, but you think he'd win a little bit more decisively if he wants to be in title contention.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. He gets on the mic after. He's like, John, let's do this. Which brings my next point. Obviously, the question here is, did Jan do enough to be able to sit out and wait? I think the next fight in line is going to be John Jones, Dominic Reyes. I think that makes sense. Dominic Reyes, coming off his devastating knockout of Chris Weidman, did it in the first round, did it in electric fashion. That's definitely the fight to make next. And then you have a guy like Corey Anderson, who just put the lights out on Johnny Walker, who I think everyone thought was going to be next in line for John there. So, I mean, you got those two guys who just won in violent fashion. I don't think Jan did enough to be able to, say he wants a title fight. Do I think he can sit out on the sidelines and wait for the winner? I don't know. In my opinion, I'd say run it back with Jan versus Corey Anderson. I think that'd be the best thing to do next. I don't think he did enough to be able to say, I'm going to sit on the sidelines. You know what I mean? Wait for John, because you don't wait for John Jones. John Jones waits for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think he's got the fan recognition right now to, have that power to say that I'm going to wait for John. That's going to be my next fight.
Yeah.
He has to, Corey Anderson made a statement with his knockout over Johnny Walker. So I think he's got a little bit more of the upper hand there. But if John's going to be fighting Dominic Reyes, I think it would make sense for Jan and Corey Anderson to fight next.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be a great fight. I think that's a big fight as well, because if someone can get a big finish in that, which I know both of those guys are capable of doing, that just entices John a little bit more, because I know he's kind of getting bored. But, I mean, I think this is the most action we've kind of seen in the light heavyweight division since DC left. You know what I mean? I think these guys are starting to come up, guys like Dom, guys like Corey Anderson, guys like Jan. So definitely excited to see what's next for that. Really disappointed in just that main event, I did think there was going to be some fireworks there. I know you thought the same thing. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with kind of all those three guys moving next, bringing the light heavyweight division some excitement again. So pumped about that. Moving on. So we had some late news come, I think it was either Monday or Tuesday morning here, but Ben Askren officially retires from MMA. He went on to the Ariel Helwani show. I kind of mixed thoughts about this. I've been reading a lot of things. I've seen a lot of videos of Ben at a press conference. I think it was one of like his first ones he ever did. And he was kind of like making fun of Dana, being like, Dana probably goes home at night with this glass of red wine, cigar in his mouth, being like, I signed Ben Askren to the UFC for him to get his ass kicked 3 times.
Yeah.
And people are kind of saying, did Askren literally predict his own UFC career? So I think what I want to get from you is, what's your reaction for it? And then what do you make of like Askren's legacy from here? Obviously he didn't do well in the UFC, but the guy was 18-0 coming in. So what do you think he leaves for a legacy? But first, what do you kind of think of the whole retirement as a whole? Are you shocked? Are you not surprised? What do you think there?
Nah, I'm not really surprised. He went through an absolute gauntlet, coming into UFC, fighting his very first fight, Robbie Lawler.
Mm-hmm.
Second fight, Jorge Masvidal. And then third fight, Damian Maia. Like, none of those were easy fights at all. And he accepted all of them without issue. So I got a lot of respect for that. And then when he was on Helwani's show, he said that he had a hip surgery.
Yep.
He's kind of getting old. He gets the hip surgery now. He might be out for a year and a half or whatever. And then at that point, he can't train. He'd just be healing that whole time. So I think it does make sense to just put an end to the whole MMA career for him here. I mean, even though he could go out and get a few more wins, he could definitely beat some of the guys in the UFC right now.
Yeah.
But he's a smart guy. I don't think he's not pressed to be fighting. He's got other avenues to make money, and I think it's probably better for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. You can definitely tell that he's one of the smarter fighters out there, and I think he's done a lot with his money, and hoping that he's coming off a hip surgery that's pretty tough to come back from. So hope all is good for him. And kind of the way I look at him is, I feel a little robbed because I was actually looking at some of his highlights the other day, right? His fight specifically when he was in Bellator versus Douglas Lima, right? We all know Douglas Lima. He just took out Rory McDonald, who's one of the biggest savages ever in the game. Douglas Lima is one of the best in the entire world, and Ben Askren ragdolled him. Like, the fight wasn't even close, and it's like, I feel like, what would Ben Askren be like in his prime in the UFC? And I just feel robbed by that, and I feel like, reading through our Twitter and everything and our Instagram posts, a lot of people talking bad about him. But like you said, he took on 3 absolute killers in his UFC fight, and he's not a young gun by any means.
Yeah.
Without hesitation, he didn't have to fight Jorge Masvidal. He didn't have to take that Robbie Lawler fight. He called out everyone in the division before he came to UFC other than Robbie Lawler. He's like, I love Robbie Lawler. I don't want to fight him. He's a beast, right? I respect him because he came in and made 2019 fun for, I think, all of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't really know about, trading away Mighty Mouse, the greatest, arguably the greatest MMA fighter to ever be put on this earth. I think now a lot of people are like, oh, Dana, like, how do you feel now? You just blew it. Like, you gave away Mighty Mouse. But what people don't understand is, without Ben Askren, Jorge Masvidal is not the biggest star in the sport right now, because Ben built that fight up.
Yeah, he did.
Although Ben got knocked out in 5 seconds, it wouldn't have led to Nate Diaz calling out Jorge and creating that BMF belt, making money for the UFC. Dana's nothing but thankful. And I know someone like Instagram messaged him that, and he was like, oh, don't you feel like stupid that you signed Ben Askren? And Dana was like, absolutely not. He made me a ton of money. He made the UFC a ton of money. So, but yeah, dude, overall, I just think the guy came in undefeated, unblemished. I don't even think he's ever been rocked before in a fight.
Yeah.
I thought he was super entertaining. And although, he didn't look the best in those 3 fights, you got to respect him, man. He's an older guy. He showed off his skills. He showed off his mic skills, and he brought up, I think, a lot more eyes to the UFC. Maybe some of those guys that just watch Bellator, just watch One Championship, that used to watch him in those organizations, came to the UFC. So I'm going to miss him. I hope he does something like a dream team commentating team where it's like Joe Rogan, him and Dominic Cruz. Like something like that would be awesome because, Ben's got like the IQ. You can hear it kind of when he's interviewing and when he's breaking opponents down. So I'd love to see those three kind of commentator if he does like some show with, any of those other analyst guys. So I think that'd be cool. But I obviously it's not a UFC Hall of Fame or anything like that, but I think he's going to be known for being dominant in the prime of his career.
Yeah, well, one thing that I wish did happen though was him versus Dylan Dennis, which I think if he comes back off of hip surgery, Dylan will probably have another 2 or 3 fights at that point. I don't know what the terms of his Bellator contract are, but man, I think that would be a fun one. I think that would be huge.
Yeah.
Get a lot of people watching, and I think it's a matchup pretty favorable to him because he really doesn't have to worry about the striking component almost at all.
Yeah.
He has to worry about the jiu-jitsu, and he's been pretty successful with other high-level jiu-jitsu competitors. So, and then just the whole build-up to it, it doesn't seem like they like each other at all. So I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, we all see Dennis on Twitter literally calling him out like after every fight. Dennis did show, some of his respect. He even said he's like, hey, maybe we can run it someday. Maybe we can grapple. I'd even love to see that. You know what I mean?
That's what the UFC fight or MMA fight between them would end up being anyway. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, both of those guys, we all seen Dylan striking. It's not the greatest. And, we saw that spinning back fist from Ben in the Maia fight. That thing was just lethal. If he hits Dylan with that, he's going down. But no, I would love to see that. And obviously, hopefully Ben's surgery goes well so he can, continue training, continue doing that stuff. I know, I think what would be good for him too is just like, he's so knowledgeable about wrestling and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on a college program. He goes back to his alma mater, whatever. But I know he's got a ton of knowledge. He's obviously one of the greatest wrestlers. He's one of the greatest college wrestlers in history. So it's like someone's probably going to snatch him up, So best of luck to him. Ben, you made 2019 fun. So appreciate it, buddy. Respect the funk, everyone. Respect it. So cool. But Kev, I don't know if you had anything else. I think one of the other things that's happening this weekend, just in the Bellator world, we have the always exciting Michael Venom Page taking on Giovanni Melillo. So quick turnaround for Michael Page. I think he fought a couple months ago here with another vicious flying knee. The guy's always exciting. So, take a look at him. He's someone that, he's coming off some adversity off his first loss to, like we just said, Douglas Lima, who knocked him out. So going to want to see him, build some momentum back up, get his second win in a row here. But he's always exciting. Don't blink because he does some crazy ass shit. So don't blink on that one. But all right, buddy. Well, that's all we had today. Guys, like we said before, CBD Medic, link below. Click the link below. Use the code FLATLINE10 and just get all your CBD needs because you know what? I use it. Kevin uses it. We all use it. And most importantly, Gronk uses it. So go buy now. All right? Until next time, Flatline MMA. Peace.